Welcome to the Wild Physio podcast with your host, Andrew Wild. I started the podcast like this when I did podcasts back in 2020 with just myself, and they're back. The reason why they're back is I want to just go through certain health related topics and talk about them, debunk some myths. And one of the reasons why I have started this again is because I think that people are starting to get a bit confused with what they should do for their health. Maybe this is a product of the podcasts out there that are really long form, such as the Human Lab and the Joe Rogan podcast, and they're telling people that they need to do more cold water immersion and they don't breathe properly and things like this. So I think I just want to go through a certain topic each week to break it down and to break it down with the science. And this is piggybacking off our ebook, Your Body Bible, which breaks down nutrition and exercise and health related topics with the science to tell you whether you should do it or not. And at the end of the day, it's your decision. But Your Body Bible will break that down. We're currently doing a massive update on that. It's 168 pages at the moment on our website, but it's going to be upwards of 300 plus. I think it's about 320 at the moment. So it'll literally answer all your questions with health, nutrition, exercise, etc. So shameless plug. So the topic today is static stretching. Contrary to popular belief, does not prevent muscle soreness, injury, or enhance performance. And studies show that it does not warm up the muscle or cause clinically meaningful physical changes to the muscle. Instead, consistent stretching increases the nervous system's tolerance to stretch. You just get better at stretching. So this is a massive topic here. Is research by Morton et al. In 2011 has shown that lifting weights is as effective as stretching for improving flexibility. Let that sink in. So you could lift weights and get flexibility changes, or you could do stretching and get flexibility changes. But the problem with the stretching is you're not going to get the strength benefits. But if you lift weights, you're going to get the flexibility benefits, but you're also going to get the benefits from lifting weights. So it's a kind of a no-brainer to lift weights. Another study by Blazevich et al. In 2018 observed that static and dynamic stretching before exercise did not impact athletic performance, although it might boost psychological confidence. This is a big one. So if people find that they feel better after they stretch or they go and play sport and they've stretched before it and they feel better, I have no issues with that. If you want to do that, go for it. And I grew up in the 90s and 2000s where we stretched before exercise. That was the norm. And if people are used to that, well, they probably want to continue to do it. And a lot of it, potential changes that they feel like they get or they feel like they perform better would be placebo. But if they feel better, well, and it's boosting their psychological confidence, well, awesome, go for it. So we have an obesity epidemic and people are blaming lack of time for not exercising and eating well. And then we have people wasting 30 to 60 minutes or even more each day or every few days or week, stretching and or even attending stretching studios. When I think considering what we know, these people could be using that time more effectively to exercise in a way that's efficient. So lifting weights, walking more, performing cardiovascular aerobic exercise and to best use their time, or they could educate themselves on exercise and nutrition and learn to cook nutritious meals, etc., etc. So I think we can definitely be more efficient with our time. And yes, stretching can offer temporary relief, but it won't fix an injury long term. If you enjoy static stretching, go for it. Like, no issues with it. Do it. If you do them, good idea to do static stretches at the end of exercise sessions or in between sessions. You can do it before if you want as well. You're not going to hold it for like 2 to 3 minutes each stretch. No one does that anyway. So if you're holding it for 30, 60 seconds, any changes you get in terms of strength and power will be negligible anyway, because some research has shown that if you hold a stretch for long periods prior to an exercise bout, strength and power will decrease. But look, you'd have to hold the stretch for a long period of time to see any noticeable changes in that. So don't stress too much about that. I've heard a lot of people talk about that online. So it's well known that strength training is an effective intervention for improving flexibility, as we mentioned before, but how does it stack up? So a 23, and that's stack up compared to stretching. A 2023 meta-analysis assessed how resistance training compares in comparison to stretching for improving range of motion. Key findings. Resistance training with weights can improve range of motion. Improvements in range of motion are not significantly different between resistance training and stretching. I've gone through some of this before, but stretching prior to or after resistance training may not improve flexibility. And stretching can still be useful as a fitness and training component. And I don't think you need to do a lot of it, but if you want to do it, go for it. And in terms of that study, it was by Alizadeh Daneshudou et al. 2023, and it's titled Resistance Training Induces Improvements in Range of Motion, a Systematic Review and Meta-Analyses in Sports Medicine. Hit me up if you need to find those references. Now, so that's kind of what I'm going to do with these podcasts going forwards, is we're just going to break down topics like that, where I just give you the knowledge of what we know currently, and then you can make a decision on how to use it going forwards. So the next topic that we'll break down, I'm just getting to it, is foam rolling. Here it is. So first of all, foam rolling will not release fascia. Fascia is really, really, really strong, and it can cope with huge amounts of load. Like, think about the amount of load going through your fascia when someone squats 100 kilos. Compare that to rolling on a foam roller, like on your quad. So, like, I'm not anti-foam rolling, much like the stretching education that we just went through. I'm just anti-wasting time. So you just don't need to do a lot of foam rolling. If you want to do it, do it. I don't personally do a lot of it. I pretty much never do any of it. And most of my clients and athletes don't do much of it. So a recent review on foam rolling, it was titled A Meta-Analysis of the Effects of Foam Rolling on Performance and Recovery. In terms of where we got that paper, it's frontiersin.org. It found the only activity that was found to have benefit from pre-rolling, so rolling prior to exercise, was sprinting. And it was noted that this increase was so minimal that only elite sprinters are likely to benefit from it. And the effects of foam rolling and strength and jump performance was not evident. Go figure. Any benefits from foam rolling are likely due to a warm-up effect, i.e. that's increased blood flow, increased muscle temperature, which you could get just from a dynamic warm-up or just some running prior to sprinting. The other effect is potentially a placebo type effect, in that individuals may perform better following foam rolling, as they simply believe it will improve their performance. Much like stretching, if people have grown up stretching and they feel like that helps them perform and they continue to do it, well, that's most likely placebo. There has been some inconclusive research to suggest there may be some short-term increases in flexibility after pre-rolling before exercise. However, this is again likely due to warm-up effects that you could probably get from your dynamic warm-up or just running, etc. Again, the research on post-rolling, so after exercise, is quite mixed in terms of its effectiveness, and post-rolling can be effective in reducing perceived muscle pain following training, which can be beneficial. Now, overall, the research on foam rolling is not yet conclusive on whether it's beneficial or harmful. Okay, but my recommendation is, if you use it before or after your training and it makes you feel better, much like the stretching, more prepared, less tight, keep using it if you want. No one's got a gun to your head telling you that you need to do it. So you can always try not doing foam rolling and not doing stretching before an exercise bout, or for a few weeks or months, and see whether you feel any different. And most likely you probably won't feel any different. But if you do use it, that's fine. Just don't spend heaps of time on foam rolling and stretching. That's the big moral of the story here. And don't prioritize it over just a general dynamic warm-up. That is the moral of the story with both the stretching and the foam rolling. So that's a bit of a breakdown of those two topics. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know whether you have any questions via the comments section on YouTube, or email me. We'll go through different topics each week going from here, and Let me know if you're enjoying this style of podcast. And as usual, stay strong.